Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Gorka. He's with us. He's Gorka. The front line in this war is your front door. That makes me nervous. I don't need a war at my front door. Neither do you. Gorka. He's on Bannon's War Room, from his kitschy little like toy hobby shop. Here we go.
Sebastian Gorka, of course, used to work for President Donald J. Trump. Now he is a wonderful.
Excuse me, you have to do air quotes when Gorka is brought up.
Radio
when it comes to work.
Host. I love his show. I'm sure you guys do too.
No. I find it disappointing. I've listened to it a couple of times. I mean, I've watched the live stream. It's slightly more entertaining because he looks ridiculous. But just listening to it, huge letdown.
But he's joining me now. I think we'll also have Mike Davis. But Dr. Gorka, I know you have some new commentary, a new op-ed out that has to do not just with what's going on in the Middle East, but really Judeo-Christian civilization and these values.
Yeah, these Judeo-Christian civilization
values, which, as we know, are very under attack. I'd love if you could walk us through the piece, and if time permits, hope I don't have to cut you off, we can get to some of the news of the day.
Yeah, it just kind of...
Yeah, I just thought I'd write, something, Gorka.
It was published by the great people at AMAC, Rebecca Weber and her team.
So nice of them. AMAC, of course, you guys know AMAC. I mean, it's the place I go for all of my op-eds. I know what it is. You don't think I know what it is? You don't think I know what AMAC is? You don't know what AMAC is? Who are you? I know.
AMAC.us.
Yeah, it'd have to be .us. Yeah, I thought you meant .com. I was excellent. .us is way better. That's a way better. It's way better to get to it.
/Gorka. And
/Gorka. Oh fuck! I'm gonna write this down. 1 second. /Gorka. That's GORE. All right.
And the title is "We Are All Jews," and
I mean, I'm not. I mean, I can empathize with people without being them. Maybe that's what's, American about me, is that I don't have to be of your kind to want the best for your kind, no matter who they are, Goes part and parcel with my not yucking anybody's yum, and I don't have to like what you like to love that you love it. But yeah, not specifically.
Wrote this because
you think everyone magically became Jewish?
There are some people on our side, the patriots on the right, who just don't get the significance of what happened.
They don't. A lot of the patriots on the right
happened 3 weeks ago in Israel. And it's like the president said, I think it was in Iowa.
Former.
He said it.
He said, what did he say? He said...
don't touch my hands because they're dirty.
No, he said something else.
You have the ocean and you have the sun. There's something about that works.
Yeah, but I'm not sure that was exactly the part. He said...
free health care for illegal... look.
No, that wasn't it. He said...
I've been involved in the 2 greatest scams in American history.
Something like that. It was... No, I know what it was. He said...
Michigan gave us Motown. Gave us Motown. Gave us the Mustang.
Something like that.
Played the clip on my radio show today.
Yeah, we weren't listening. You're going to have to paraphrase.
Said,
I'm in Sioux Falls. It's great to be back in Sioux Falls when he was in Sioux City. That part?
I am pro-Western civilization. I'm pro-Judeo-Christian civilization.
Yeah, but he can't describe it. So I always take that with a grain of salt.
And that shouldn't be controversial. And he said, rhetoric.
Well, no, the controversy isn't about him saying that, or those words being uttered by a human being in that order. The question is what the fuck he means by it. Because I certainly has issues with the rule of law and how women should be treated. And if those are essential to Western, equality, there's a big question there.
Question. How did it get to be controversial to...
Because he's full of shit. It isn't that those words are being said. It's that they're being said by him.
Say that I support the Judeo-Christian civilization.
Because he he said 2 Corinthians, and when he was standing in front of a church that had been burned out, he held a Bible upside down. And when somebody said, "Is that your Bible?" he said, "It's a Bible." It could have been a fucking hymn, and he wouldn't have known.
And I want to be.
He also believes that he considers himself a Christian and believes in God, but he doesn't believe he should pray for forgiveness for anything, because why? He hasn't done anything that deserves forgiveness, which is essential to the ideology of Judeo-Christian values. Everybody's sinful, especially him.
Clear to everybody out there in the Shire, in the posse, that this isn't some war far away, and
it is a war far away.
This isn't, Ukraine Redux Mark 3.0. This is different. This is civil.
Oh, by the way, this is a problem that they're having on the right now, that people are just the quote unquote forever wars horse shit has wrapped people up into thinking that Afghanistan and Iraq and the like are feeding into why we're helping Ukraine and why we're helping Israel, when we're not putting boots on the ground. And people can't seem to make the distinction between America drawing back, having troops in a lot of these areas, and our material supply, supplying of people who are in these wars.
Civilizational. When you hear the reports yesterday, you're not supposed to do this. In Jewish culture, the body should not be defiled.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure most cultures don't want the bodies defiled.
Sanctity of the body after death is paramount.
Yeah, unlike Presbyterians, who they all give the body the boot afterwards. We have a tradition in our family that after someone passes away, either from murder, natural causes, car crash, something like that, they drag it out and they put it in the front yard, and we all go at it like a fucking piñata, and then we bury it a couple days later if we ain't too tired. The fuck?
But because of all the propaganda, the lies of the Democrats, the racism of the media, the Knesset, the Parliament of Israel, had to show the footage that was taken by Hamas of a family who was slaughtered, and the child, the living infant, was put in an oven and killed, roasted to death. Grown men, combat veterans, came out of that meeting of the Knesset where that footage was shown, sobbing, weeping, collapsed. Why? Because this isn't just...
Because that's your reaction to seeing a child cooked alive?
Just some war in the Middle East.
They're there.
As the jihadis say.
They were in the Knesset. It's their country. Of course they're closer to it.
First we come for the Saturday people, the Shabbat people, the Jews, and then we come for the Sunday.
The Saturday people? Is that how it was phrased?
People, and we kill the Christians.
First we come for the Saturday, then we come for the Sunday. Who said this? Hold on.
Where that footage was shown, sobbing, weeping, collapsed. Why? Because this isn't just some war in the Middle East. As the jihadis say, first we come for the Saturday people, the Shabbat people, the Jews.
Oh, the jihadis.
And then we come for the Sunday people, and we kill the Christians.
And then we come for the Monday people who are just watching football. And then the Tuesday people who took Monday off and started their week late. And then we come for the Hump Day people who like Hal Sparks' midweek shit from Stephanie Miller's show years ago and have followed him with the... And then the Thursday people who are, of course, fans of Douglas Adams, who think the earth will end on a Thursday. And then we get to Friday, which is our day, and we kill ourselves. It's a great... And then the world will be just antelopes and grizzly bears.
Are in a civilization.
Who will live in peace forever and lick each other's butts.
And it isn't a Christian civilization. It is a Judeo-Christian civilization.
No, the West is largely a Christian civilization. It is that openness that allows for the Judeo aspect of it. But honest to God, we literally crafted the Constitution and a lot of our law in direct conflict with the Old Testament on a bunch of fronts. Unless, of course, you want to outlaw Red Lobster.
Our God and Savior was a Jew.
No. The idea was he was born a Jew. Or two Jews, but he was the Messiah of the Jews, and he became the first Christian or the last Jew, depending on how because those believe that he was a specific path away from them. Jews don't believe that he was a Jew or still a Jew or stayed a Jew. That was kind of the point.
He observed every single Jewish festival, and he was...
Well, they were happening around him. I mean, you can't, what he's going to do, avert his eyes?
Nailed to the cross by the Romans with a sign that said, Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews. And we have to understand...
Yeah, but they were kind of rubbing it into the face of the Jews that didn't think he was the Messiah. They were kind of like, that was a fuck you to them.
And our heritage, and why the New Testament is about the spreading of the covenant to all people, Jews and Gentiles. And we
Huh. And what would that covenant be? What would be the crucial aspects of that covenant? Love thy neighbor, forgive those, forgive your enemies, that kind of stuff. No. Blessed are the meek. Blessed are the peacemakers. That covenant, you mean? Nah, it's just some sort of land grab.
have to wake up. Do you really think, does anybody listening to this show, anybody listening to War
Yeah, but I don't know that anybody listens to the show, Gorka.
Room, not think that Hezbollah, that Hamas, that Al Qaeda, that ISIS hasn't sent literally thousands of jihadis into America?
Yeah, I think they need them back where they are to fight for the actual Holy Land that they have, and then the eventual seizing of the Saudi territories because they want Mecca and Medina as well. Like they're not going to have any impact sending them over here. They might kill a couple of Americans, but it's just going to make it worse. That there's a specific reason why they don't send people here
In the open,
because that'll drag us into it more. Like think what you will about Iran, but they do recognize that any kind of major thing happens here will drag us into the war like Pearl Harbor, and they don't want that to happen.
border regime under Biden, we've got, 16 million illegals. Do we really think that there aren't
No, we don't have anything like 16 million.
thousands of them that are working for the jihadis? So this isn't something that happened in a kibbutz,
Yeah, the Mexican jihadis.
9,000 miles.
It's the Guatemalan jihadis I'm worried about. They've declared Taco Tuesday on all of our other on all the Greek food trucks.
Away. To quote a very sober individual, not a bomb thrower, a regular guest on my show, Colonel Dr.
McGregor.
Jim Carafano of the Heritage Foundation.
Oh, the Heritage Foundation. Yeah, so he's not an extremist at all.
Who shocked me on my show recently when he said, Seb, the next 9/11, it's going to make the first one look like a walk in the park.
Okay, asinine analogy. The next 9/11 will by no means be as big a deal as taking down the World Trade Centers. I mean, we unless they're going to take down the Freedom Tower or whatever, or hit the White House and the Capitol. Wait, somebody did attack the Capitol. Who was it? They were kind of like jihadis of their own. What the fuck did those guys do? I'll remember later. Somebody attacked the Capitol a little bit ago, right?
And it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. So
Well, I take him at his word, Mr. What's his name?
we have to understand we are all Jews today, and the front line in this war is your front door.
Yeah, it's not really. I got to say, are they? Is it against Jehovah's Witnesses? Is this a war of pamphlets? That was supposed to be the end of it, and when he did that, that was your cue to somebody's telling her. I like this is, and just for the record,
Bullshit!
that there's a tendency in some of these cases, and I brought this up before, to actually take the content of what this asshole is talking about and let that override your judgment about who and what is actually being said. This motherfucker is a farce, as is this entire fucking network. They don't give a rat fuck about any of these issues. What they believe is it's a functional cudgel against their political enemies, and so they'll go on and on about how Biden and Obama allowed this and stuff. That's the general rumble in this idea, but it has nothing to do with reality.
Steve was talking earlier today
about finally buying deodorant.
About how I think we've really, for lack of a better word, secularized the enemies that we see in the Middle East, right? I think we've sort of removed Hamas and Hezbollah from the fundamentalist Islamic roots that
Why?
they so dearly hold. And I know you worked in the White House in the Steve days when he wanted to.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. He was working with Donald Trump when Donald Trump made a deal with the Taliban to release 5,000 Taliban fighters. And Taliban means the students of Islam, of course, who are Orthodox, don't believe women should be educated, believe they should cover their heads, all that kind of shit. And they, he facilitated them taking over Afghanistan, which isn't even really a country. It's just a series of tribal regions, but made it into, kind of forced it into a situation where the Taliban could take over what is effectively viewed as a country in those situations by, arguably setting them up and getting rid of and not talking to anymore the Afghani government. That's so funny because he was right there. I forgot all about that.
Designate the Muslim Brotherhood a terrorist organization when you look at what their end goal is, right? Establishing a new caliphate that is mutually exclusive, if not directly incompatible with Judeo-Christian values. So,
by the way, any religious orthodoxy is mutually exclusive with democracy at its very nature, because if you want to overlay your religious beliefs on other people without their consent, that is anti-democratic, period. So all orthodoxy, all religious orthodoxy, isn't it? If you don't believe me, ask Dr. Tiller.
I'm just curious, it's probably a good tee up since,
oh, wait.
President Trump is speaking probably halfway through this show. If you could just sort of walk us through, from your perspective, the inside baseball, how the Trump administration really stood up for those values at home and...
Yeah, tell me about that part. The whole, did it start with grab him by the pussy or...
abroad?
Well, look, you're exactly right to point out the historic antecedents. These aren't political entities. Hamas, Hezbollah, they're not, people who are just interested in political revolution. These are theocratic savages. The Hamas founding charter of 1984 is explicit. It's about the destruction of Israel. And Hamas calls themselves, in their founding charter, a branch of the Muslim Brotherhood. Now, what is the Muslim Brotherhood? This is why I was working in...
It's a party thing they do every third Wednesday.
The White House, because I wrote the book, Defeating Jihad, on what...
Yeah, and that you didn't factor in the Taliban as part of that at all, or... No?
These organizations, Al-Qaeda, ISIS,
the Taliban. Say the Taliban.
What they believe. The Brotherhood was expressly...
Yeah, the brother, man. Don't tell me what the brother would do.
...created after the fall of the Ottoman Empire, after the dissolution of the Caliphate by Kemal Mustafa Atatürk, the first president of modern Turkey who secularized that nation. And the Brotherhood, the
yeah, that held up really well.
One said, well, this is wrong. You can't separate politics from religion, and Muslims must live.
Sure you can. That's what America's about. It's that's why we tend to stay away from things like Judeo-Christian values as an idea, because we're actually based on the Enlightenment more than it. Never mind.
Live in a theocracy.
Gorka.
The caliphate must be recreated. The gene code of all of these organizations, whether it's AQ, whether it's ISIS, whether it's Hamas, whether it's Hezbollah,
the Taliban,
goes back to the Brotherhood. And if you're a member of the Brotherhood,
then you're a member of the Taliban, because if
you're a fundamentalist, you must have the world covered with the caliphate, and everyone must...
Yes, Operation Sausage Fest. Yeah, it'll totally happen.
...be a Muslim or must be subjected to the will of Allah or killed. It's very, very simple. When we were in the White House, it was
good. Those were the good old days. Remember when everybody was dying of COVID, and Trump was arguing that that she was doing a great job, and that we needed a deal to get them to buy stuff from the farmers that they were already buying. Remember that? Oh man!
The toughest task that we had,
was when to golf. Honestly, there was a lot of golfing going on.
Dealing with North Korean nukes was easy by comparison. Nixing Obama's JCPOA was child's play by comparison.
Yes, undoing the rules of engagement so that more civilians were killed in the first year of the Trump presidency than in all 8 years of the Obama presidency. That kind of thing. Which, I don't know if has anybody done any study that civilian deaths lead to more terrorism and more extremism in that region of the world? That cranking that shit up and cranking the rhetoric up with it and maybe blocking people from leaving those countries creates more, I I'd have to look it up.
But the idea that we could get the U.S. government to designate the grandpappy of AQ and ISIS, designating the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist organization that it is, that was a Sisyphean task beyond even the great Steve Bannon.
Oh, is that why he was fired? Because he was incapable of doing it? And by the way, you're watching House Sparks Mega Worldwide. This motherfucker, how do you manage in the middle of stuff like this to bore the shit out of me? How do you do that?